morning, all. Welcome to today's Cancer Healing Journey Talks. Myself, Annie Jose from Community Outreach Team of ZenOnco.io and Love Heals Cancer. Cancer Healing Journey Talks helps cancer survivors and caregivers to share their journey with vast number of survivors and caregivers who have traveled or been traveling through this journey. This can inspire and motivate them for their faster recovery as well. Firstly, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Cassie. She is a cancer coach. She's a 3-time cancer survivor as well, and she empowers cancer survivors through #Cancer Survivorship. That's the Happier, Healthier You program. So over to you, Cassie. Thanks for being here today. Can you start with a small introduction of yours?
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story. My name is Casey Head. I am 39 years old now. I'm a cancer survivorship coach, and I help empower women to be stronger physically, mentally, and emotionally after going through cancer. So I truly love what I do. I live in Chicago. I have a small dog named Lily, and that's about it.
Okay. So how did you diagnose the cancer? How come you know that you had cancer?
So back in at the end of 2013, I started to feel just really run down, really tired, and I didn't think anything of it. We were working really hard, and then I felt a weird nodule on my neck, and I looked at my husband and I asked him. I said, do you have this on your neck? And he said, no. He goes, okay. He goes, you should probably see someone about that. And I said, okay. So I booked an appointment with an ENT, an ear, nose, throat doctor. And I didn't get in to see them until the beginning of January of 2014. And they gave me antibiotics and kind of said, see you in 2 weeks after the antibiotics get done. And that's when everything kicked in. From the time that I stopped the antibiotics to the time that I went and saw them, which was 5 days later, I started developing bruising everywhere, all over my body. Like even if I touched something, I'd have a giant bruise. Like it was like purple welts everywhere. I started to develop petechiae, which is clusters of red dots. I looked jaundice. Like my dad even was like, is something wrong with you? Because the coloration in my face was gone. I had trouble walking upstairs. I was extremely exhausted, but I was working so much that I didn't think that something was really wrong. I thought maybe I was anemic, something was going on, but I did not think I was sick like that. And then I started to get like blurry vision the day that I went back to the doctor. And I just assumed that something was like, I had low iron, an iron deficiency or something. And as we walked around in the doctor's office, he was like, are you okay? And I was like, well, it's really hard to breathe, but I'm fine. And he was like, I think you should go admit yourself to the ER and get some blood work because it's the fastest way to get results. And I said, okay. So I walked to the ER, and that's when they realized I had hemoglobin of level 4. And I immediately was transfused blood. And they basically in the ER told me, we're pretty sure this is what you have, but we can't confirm it until we get a bone marrow biopsy. They're like, so we have to take you down to the hospital downtown. So they transferred me that night, and that's when the journey began. And I really was severely sick. And that Monday, we did 3 bone marrow biopsies. It was confirmed of what I had. But before they even confirmed it, they were like, we're just going to start you on treatment now because you're so sick that we do something. Before I even had a chance to do fertility treatments or anything, I started chemotherapy. Before it was really even confirmed, because they could see from just the lab work alone that it was a which is typically breast cancer, really rare for my age at 31 at the time to get diagnosed. 1,000, 2,000 people worldwide a year. And so I was hospitalized for 32 days. And then 4 months into my treatment, I ended up having a stroke because of the asparaginase, which is one of the chemotherapies that I was given. So I had to relearn how to walk and talk and do all those things while still going through treatment because I wasn't in remission yet. So it made it a little bit harder, more complicated. And then my treatment protocol was a year and a half long, almost 2 years. And I got done. And 7 weeks later, I relapsed. And they said, your cancer's back. Yeah, and it was no longer responding to chemotherapy. So we tried an immunotherapy called blinatumomab, which was extremely unsuccessful. It basically sent me into a cytokine release storm, which is when your body starts to attack itself, and made me severely sick and back in the hospital. And then they were basically like, your body's not responding to chemotherapy. The immunotherapy doesn't work. And our only option is for you to go in a clinical trial. So I started to go on the clinical trial, did all the testing for it. And the week before I was supposed to start, it was shut down because people had been not responding well and passed away. And so we basically were like, they didn't have any other options. There was another clinical trial at a different hospital, but it was full and they were like, we don't know when or if you can even get on it. So I basically was like, well, what are our options? And my doctor at the time had just come back from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society convention for the doctors. And they had, she was working with an immunotherapy that was not for my cancer, it was for a different type of cancer. And she said, well, if we can try to get approval for this, we'll try this. We don't know if it's going to work. We don't know what it's going to do, but our goal is to get to transplant, but we have to get you into remission first. And so I was sent home after being in the hospital for 68 days with just a letter of compassion written to the FDA and the drug manufacturer, and waited. And so for about 4 months, I was just being kept alive through blood transfusions, platelets, things like that. And we finally got approved after 4 rounds of isatunemab, which is technically for acute myeloid leukemia. It worked. I was put into remission. So I went to a stem cell transplant. My brother is my donor. He's 100% match. So back into the hospital for like 32 days again. And it worked. But then 6 months later, I relapsed again. And instead of doing another stem cell transplant, they said, well, let's try the immunotherapy again and see if we can get you back into remission. And thankfully, after another 4 rounds, I've been first. So that was about like 3 years total, 4 years almost. Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, that was indeed a long journey with cancer. So did you try any So did you try any alternative treatment like naturopathy or Ayurvedic treatment?
No, we didn't go that route. I mean, I was doing like acupuncture and some other things on the side, but not really diving into that world yet because we still had options, medically speaking. And blood cancer is really hard because it's not like a tumor that you can feel inside of your body. It's your blood. And so it's really truly your bone marrow that needs to be replaced. It's your whole immune system is just not working. It's not doing its job. And so it's like an organ transplant. You need to find something different or new to replace what's not working. And either your body is going to accept it or reject it. And you don't know.
That's right. So how did you manage your emotional well-being throughout the journey?
I really honestly focused. Number one, I focused on the day at hand And number two, I really set goals for myself every single day. It was to get up out of bed. Beds are for sleeping. Don't, unless make sure I walked every single day, showered, got dressed, like little basic things that really drove every single day. And also and do all the things that you really want to do. You feel so ill, but you have to do it because it's only going to help you through the process of not only just staying, but it helps you physically get through a lot of the side effects.
Yeah. So who was your support system?
So my support system was my husband. My dad showed up every single day. My mother-in-law and my brother and my sister-in-law, they were really our core group of people that helped. And then of course, a couple of really close friends that stepped up to the plate and really helped out, because there was a point where I was in treatment almost 4 days a week, and not being taken to and from the hospital. You need everybody you can, because now, my husband had to still work, but he couldn't take off work. So it was really challenging just to navigate the logistics. So without
So, can you speak a little bit about your experience with the doctors and other medical staff?
Yeah, I feel like I got really lucky. The medical team that I had, they truly, in their best interest, wanted me to succeed and to get rid of this disease as much as possible. And I feel like the only time I wasn't heard or seen was when I had my stroke, and I think they missed some things in hindsight, but I mean, you can't go back and change it. So it is what it is. And I really feel like there should be something set up for survivors to help us be care. Don't end once you're done. There's so much aftercare that you have to do. People don't realize how it's just the same as being in treatment sometimes with the
Right. So
but
there
the
might
staff
be
was
some.
great. The nurses are truly they are just incredible humans.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So there might be some days, right, when you feel like it's too much to handle and you still don't want to give up. So what was the things that keep you motivated on such days?
Those days where it's really looking inward and understanding why you're doing it. I was doing it for my family, not always for me, but for my family. I couldn't let them down by not fighting as hard as I could, because it's you just feel like your job. I felt like my job was to stay alive and do it as healthy as possible. And if I didn't do that, I was letting them down, I don't know. It's just you have such a team by your side. You can't, you just don't want to not help the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, got it. So, what about your lifestyle changes? Did you make any lifestyle changes during or after the treatment?
Yeah, during treatment, I ate what I could, but it was a lot of soup, a lot of really just simple things, because I couldn't really do a lot cooking wise, but it was just but making sure I was eating as healthy as possible, truly not eating processed food and things like that helped. Limiting sugar, things like that truly did help me physically feel better, getting sleep, doing all of those things. But I think after treatment, it really is about reducing as much stress as you can, really finding a positive mindset afterward, and just making sure I physically take care of my body every day, exercise, right? All of those things. complete lifestyle. I thought I was being healthy before, but it's totally different now. Like now I look at in hindsight, I'm like, wow, I was very, very unhealthy. Just the amount of stress I had in my life. Oh my gosh, like that alone, I can't even imagine doing again.
Right. So do you think cancer has changed you in a positive way? And what life lessons you got from your cancer journey?
I absolutely feel like this journey changes everyone, including myself. And I feel like I'm a lot more compassionate, a lot more patient, a lot more caring and loving and like I hid my a lot of times, but now I openly tell people how much I appreciate them and I'm grateful for them and how they impact my life. Whereas I wouldn't have done that before. And I think the one lesson that I learned a lot of lessons, but I think the one that really stood out for me is that we are so much stronger physically, mentally, and emotionally than we think we are. And there's like a deeper level that we can harness to get through really hard times.
Right. So what would be your message to cancer patients and caregivers out there?
I would say never give up, never lose hope, and just do everything you can to help your journey. And just hold on to the hope that it gets easier and it will get better. And that's it.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about your hashtag cancer survivorship? Like what do you do over there?
So I built a 13-week survivorship program, which really is everything that I wish I had post-cancer treatment to build back physical strength, mental positivity, and emotional resilience. And it really is about addressing and healing the trauma that cancer brings into your life, and also rebuilding your mindset to be comfortable without fear, anxiety, and reoccurrence.
Yeah. So how did you overcome your fears of treatment or any side effects you had during the treatment? Did you use any other, like you said you haven't used any alternative medicine. So how did you overcome?
Honestly, I used a lot of the pharmaceutical medication that they gave me, like to stop the nausea. I actually used a lot of breathing techniques. I ended up drinking a lot of like just warm water with like a little bit of citrus in it, like lemon. And there were days that I just threw up, and I just was like, okay, this is gonna happen today, and you just accept it. And despite that, I still tried to eat afterward and like do all those things because despite your body not wanting inside of you, you still need the drugs that you're taking still.
Yeah. So one last question will be like, there are a lot of stigmas around different types of cancer worldwide. So what do you think about the stigmas attached to the type of cancers?
I think that there are a lot of negative connotations around certain cancers, and no one brings this upon themselves regardless of anything that they've done or do. And I think that stigma is unfortunate because I got asked even a lot through my journey, what did you do to get cancer? And it's like, I didn't do anything. It's not, I don't wish this journey on anyone. No one deserves this. And sometimes our bodies just dysfunction, and it's a lot of things. It's not just one thing that happens. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and it's unfortunate that people still feel like you cause your cancer, if that makes sense. No one causes their own cancer. So it's really hard for people to understand that. And then also, cancer is not a death sentence anymore. There's so much technology out there that people are living longer and surviving more than ever before.
That's right. So thank you so much, Casey, for your valuable time. So I'm sure the session will really motivate people out there who have traveled or been traveling through cancer. So it was really nice having you here with us today. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story with you.
Thank you.